Hello, sunshines and sunnies. It is I, Queen Scarlet, Pimp Sun Kiss, coming at y'all right quick, right fast, maybe, for another synchronized character analysis. Okay, read. So, this is part two for the girlfriends synchronized analysis. Okay, and so for part two. For part two, we are focusing on Wilkes and Toni Childs. Okay, I have my Beanie Boo figurines representing the gals. Both of them are goats. Okay, they are just two different types of goats. So as I said before, we have Maya Wilkes and Toni Childs. So group one, Maya Wilkes, and group two, Toni Childs. If you feel inclined to watch both, please do whatever it is that you feel like you need to do and take what applies and let the rest fly. Okay. Brief background information about the show for those of you all who do not know. The show was premiered on, I believe it was UPN in 2000, lasted 8 years up to 2008 when a writer strike happened and the gals were considered too expensive at that point. Too expensive, okay? Okay. And it was ended abruptly, okay? And the show was created by Kelsey Grammer. Kelsey Grammer and Marbrock Akil is definitely a creative brain that is heavily involved, and she is one of the writers on the show as well. And also, the two went on to create the spin-off, The Game, starring Tia Mowry. I be about to say all their names together. Tia and Tamira. I like to say them both together now. Starring Tia Mowry. And they were also responsible for another show that played on BET called Be Mary Jane, starring Gabrielle Union. Okay, so set in Los Angeles, California. Shout out to Lovely T, and we are going to get into this read. So without further ado, let's get into the read. All right, group one, you all chose Miss Maya Wilkes straight out of Compton, California. Shout out to Lovely T. And she is represented by this girl, whose name I don't remember. What's their name? Gabby, honey. Girl's name is Gabby. I intuitively chose goats for Maya because it's giving underdog tease, okay? Maya is definitely a goat coming off a show that is the goat. And the reason why I say so is because she is straight out of Compton. And a lot of people have these preconceived notions based off, some things that are known and some things that are also exaggerated concerning the gang life, the poverty, and everything that Compton is known for. So a lot of people don't expect much from Maya. A lot has not been expected of Maya, but to possibly get pregnant at a young age and grow old and be lackluster, which she did get the baby at the young age type shit, but she has not let this stop her. She is the assistant for John Clayton, who is now junior partner at one of the top law firms in Los Angeles. Okay, not too much, but definitely a lot all at the same time. And so is still in her journey and on her grind to becoming a full-fledged diamond, okay? And with this, at the same rate, goats are often not thought too much of, we use the term goat to describe someone who is the greatest of all time, but then we laugh at actual goats. We laugh at the actual animals that are goats. And interestingly enough, too, a lot of the most realist people get a lot of ridicule when it comes to sheep. Interesting, okay? Now, moving on, Maya I could not, I even researched and asked Google what Maya's age is when the show first starts, but I was not able to find information on that. But it's to be assumed that she and Lynn are the youngest of the group, and being the fact that Lynn has always been in the same grades classifications as it concerns school with Maya and Toni, it is to be inclined that Lynn is no more than 2 years younger than Joan and Toni, and so therefore Maya should be no more than 3, maybe 4 years younger than all of them, because she was a teen mom. And there are other things that I said and done throughout the series and throughout season 1, throughout episode 1 in particular, that gives indication that Maya is possibly the youngest of the group. Also being the fact that it takes a while for her fashions to come together. It's like it's certain things that she says and the way that she responds to things that show that she still got some maturing to do, and she's still trying to find herself. Now, let's get into the nitty gritty. Starting off with the first question concerning how are you all synchronized with Miss Maya? How do you all synchronize and identify with Maya Wilkes? Now, this is going to give indication as to why you are drawn to her, and the things that you have in common with her as well. And for some of you, it may be someone in your life who is like Maya, and this may give you more insight on your dynamic with them. Magic. And that goes back to a bit of what I was saying as well, the magic of it all. And Maya being, excuse me, I ain't really got nothing on. But anywho, it goes back to Maya being a unassuming being, basically. People don't expect much out of her most of the time. They expect her to be stupid. They expect her to be just ratchet and ghetto and this, that, and the third. But naturally, Maya's very intelligent. She is cultured. She done travel. She done been places and things of that nature. And we come to find out throughout the episodes and throughout the seasons that Maya is quite talented. Maya is a great writer. Maya is a great storyteller. Maya has a personality that sells and attracts and that draws people in. And it's kind of a situation also where you will either love or hate her from jump. But what I'm picking up on for you all and Maya is that while it's either you love or hate her type thing, eventually you'll love her because she's just that type of person. She's just the type of person where you might dislike things about her, but eventually you will love her because she just the shit. She says what she means what she said. She's kind of fuckless, if you will. Like, she is not, like, she's a human being, but she's not wrapped up in what other people have to say. And that's interesting in how close her and Lynn are becoming, because there is something that they have in common. They are not extremely consumed by what other people have to say about them, but Maya will get you together, honey, okay? The frequency of magic supports our intrinsic ability to grow and expand beyond this moment, to move towards possibilities and expressions that are as grand and profound as we can imagine. All that is required is our belief in their manifestation. Exactly. Maya has had a lot of odds set up against her, one coming from Compton, one coming from a single parent household, 2, having been a teen mother, okay, and likely having people tell her, oh, now your life is over. You gonna be able to fulfill your dreams because you got a child now. And everybody demonizing her and, this, that, and the third. You know what happens when ladies get pregnant at young age, and sometimes it don't even matter the age, child. Women be out here having babies and folks find anything wrong with it, anything to shame them about. So that's something that Maya has faced a lot, and that we see her face a lot throughout the show. And so, with that being said, you are likely synchronized with her on that level. You're a very eccentric person. You have this straightforward, tell it like it is, around the way girl type of personality and type aura about yourself, and also have a strong sense of manifestation. You believe yourself very naturally, and with that belief, you are able to accomplish what people think is impossible. And it may not even be impossible in general, but they just want to think that it's impossible for you. And mind you, they want to think that it is impossible for you. Interesting. Okay. So here we have the sacral chakra card, and that's interesting because I always tend to see and feel like this orange-esque light around Maya, if you will, and it's like her makeup and her hair, something is always orange. I'm not even sure if she wears a lot of orange, but in her facial area she has a reddish orangish undertone about her skin, and then the way that her makeup is often done is something orange about it. And also the sacral chakra deals with sex, and that brings up to me about her having been exposed to sex and having had sex at a young age, therefore producing a baby. And it's coming up to me, some of you may need to forgive yourself for things that were likely not even your fault when you were a child. I always feel like when teenagers end up having babies, because somewhere along the line, their parents really failed them in some type of way. Not saying that their parents are absolutely horrible. It's just somewhere as it concerns sex and as it concerns dynamics and interactions with peers, the parents probably dropped the ball, because likely, usually when this tends to happen, my perspective and what I've seen, it's like the parents are emotionally available in some type of way. And we do see that with Maya and her mama. Her mama is very snappy and spitfire. She's not as delicate as Maya has the ability to be, or as Maya shows us that she has the ability to be. Her mama is very, like one of those strong mamas. She don't play no games. She don't show no weakness. Say that crying for your pillow bed at night. That's the energy that she is, and it is quite likely that when someone, Darnell, Maya's husband, did show her emotional availability and show her some attention, she went with it. They did what they did and produced a baby. And like I was saying, that tends to happen a lot across the board when teenagers end up getting pregnant or bringing kids into the world, because their parents want to talk to them about everything else except how to deal with their emotions, how to take care of and protect their bodies. We don't want to talk to them about sex, don't want to talk to them about how to interact with people of the opposite sex or even people of the same sex, okay? And along with seeing how your parent interacts with other people of the opposite sex or the same sex. which also brings up the fact of coming from Maya coming from a single parent household, and some of you coming from a single parent household, and either seeing your parent interact with a lot of their partners or not seeing your parent interact with partners at all had an effect on you. That's why it's important to understand balance and understand that too much of anything is not good, because you need to see your parents express and emote. You need to see that, but at the same time, your parents shouldn't make you responsible for their emotions. And there's also some things that you don't need to hear and don't need to see, and it's up to your parents to discern the time and the place and set that balance. And when it is not set, it ends up in children make very adult decisions, or just making simple decisions that turn into very adult-like situations. So if that resonates with any of you all, it's a need for you to go back and reevaluate some decisions that you made when you were a teenager, when you were a child, that are ultimately not really your fault. It's literally a result of your parents and the people that were supposed to protect you not protecting you, and sometimes not educating you is not protecting you, because being educated and being knowledgeable is a great form of protection. Speaking of which, this card here, which has the number 22 on it, also giving victory, okay? It's a divine masculine card, okay? And I was just speaking on the lack of a father figure being in the home, okay, single parent households, and that can cause people to have a warped view or just a lack of perspective of men, whether you are male or female, to be honest. And if you are male in that situation, not having a father in the household can have a result of how you look at yourself. And like I was saying about having seen, the parent with all of these different people, it can just really have a drastic effect on how you view yourself and how you view the opposite sex. And honestly, that's a topic, as it concerns Maya and as it concerns all of the main ladies as a whole, that I will get more into as it concerns the actual episodic reviews. So definitely stay tuned and come back through for those. But as it concerns Maya and y'all in particular, there's a need to open yourselves up to new examples of men, whether you are male or female. There's a need for you to search, even if you have to Google search, just type in great men held at high esteem, men that do great things in the community. Like, literally search for different examples of men. Literally seek good news so that you can start to expand your perspective and possibly start to make some new decisions for yourself. Another way that I see this come up for Maya in particular is her connection with Darnell. Even though we love her with Darnell and we so glad that they got back together and all this other stuff, Darnell is a bit pig-headed and misogynistic and an asshole. And there are a lot of moments where he comes off very controlling and manipulative, and like he wants to shrink Maya and her personality and dumb her down to make himself feel comfortable. When she uses big words, he's offended. When she's going out to nice places and hanging with the girls, he's offended. When she starts wearing new clothes and getting her fashions together, he's offended. And a lot of that comes from his own insecurities and him seeing a light in Maya, him seeing the magic in Maya, and he has a hard time seeing that himself, so he ends up taking it out on her a lot. And if you are in that type of situation, you need to nip that in the bud. Definitely, you need to nip that in the bud sooner than later, because we see how they ended up in divorce eventually between Maya and Darnell. Even though they ended up getting back together, it broke apart because Maya was not able to express herself, and well, neither one of them were able to express themselves in healthy ways, to be honest. And it was due to all of the insecurities, and also them being very young when they got together, and being very young at the time, and having went through all of these different transitions, and not having time to get to know each other as individuals, let alone friends, before they had to get to know each other as parents in the midst of being teenagers, and then having to get to know each other as husband and wife. They never had a chance to get to know each other as actual human beings. So with that being said, if y'all are in a situation like that, there's a need to have compassion with yourself, and also compassion with your mate, your wife, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your baby daddy, baby mama, whatever. There's a need to have compassion with them as well, because the two of you have gone through so many different transitions at one time that you haven't had the chance to really get to know each other as people. So everything ends up offending you because you really don't know their motives. You really don't know their heart set type shit. So I hope that helps. We are going to move on to the next segment of this read, and that is the creative intent. This is the intent of the character. What did the creators pour into Maya, and what did the creators want to basically display and emote and tell the story of, give a symbol of, through Maya, specifically for you all. Okay. This is in the bedroom. Is that what it is? It's the bedroom. That's the name of it. The Bedroom by Vincent van Gogh. Now, this kind of goes back to what I was saying about Maya and Darnell's dynamic. Now, not limited to that dynamic, however, Maya is a person that people have tried to silence, have tried to put and keep in a box in order to make themselves comfortable. We even see Toni do this a lot. Toni goes at her a lot unwarranted, and much of it has to do with Toni's own insecurities. So she wants Maya to stay in the box. She wants Maya to shut up and move out of the way, because Maya is a trigger for her. But I say that to say, with this card right here, Kelsey Grammer and Mara Brock-Akil wanted to show us a story and a process of literally a caterpillar turning into a butterfly. And Maya is that caterpillar that we see morph into a butterfly, because we see her go from, while she's defeated a lot of odds of being the product of her environment, we still see her surrounded by people that try to keep her down, that try to keep her in a box, that try to hold her back. She's often surrounded, the people that are closest to her tend to be crabs in a bucket to her. This is her family, her cousins, her mama, her husband, even though Joan doesn't do that to her. I think there's a period where Joan starts to act a little funny with her, but Joan doesn't really do that to her, and Lynn doesn't, and William doesn't. But like I said, Toni does it a lot, and in Maya's personal life probably faces that a lot too. And so Kelsey Grammer and Mara Brock-Akil really wanted to show someone persevere past that, really wanted to show a woman who looks like Maya and comes from the place that Maya comes from, defeat odds, not just in a physical way, but also in a characteristic and spiritual way. See her bust out of the bedroom, come out as a beautiful butterfly and start blooming and making a name, making a career, and making money, honey, for herself and for her seed child, for her baby, for her son. You know what I'm talking about? So that is absolutely beautiful to me. That is absolutely beautiful to me. This is from Golden Brooks' perspective. So this is the intent and some things that really stood out to Golden Brooks. And Golden Brooks is the actress that plays Maya Wilkes. So this is a bit of her intent and what she really wanted to showcase and bring to the character. Okay. It's another Vincent Van Gogh, child. Vincent Van Gogh fishing boats on the beach. So her intent and perspective is very similar to the first one, to Kelsey Grammer's intent. So she noticed that Maya was someone who, you ever hear people say, or people say this about other people when they're in a certain environment? They're like, you don't look like you belong here, or you seem like you don't belong here, like you're not supposed to stay here. That's what Golden Brooks noticed about Maya. Even though Maya is from Compton and, you know, everything else, it's this understanding of that's not where Maya is supposed to stop. Maya is supposed to have experiences in these areas and have roots in these areas and experiences, but Maya is not supposed to stay there. Those are stepping stones for Maya to eventually branch out. So with this fishing boat on the beach, it's literally like she's right there at the harbor about to set sail. So that's like at the very beginning of the series. She's right where she needs to be. She's right at the shore. She got the boat. She got all of that. She's got to figure out how to drive it. That is so very interesting. And I love how I feel like that applies to a lot of you as well. I feel like a lot of you have probably been pondering just uprooting, just up and leaving, or just up and really putting your all into some type of project that has been on your heart since you were a child, and you just really at that mark where you got to be like, just fuck it, I'm just about to do it, I'm just about to go all in, I'm about to do everything I never done before to get what I want and what I need. And that's what Golden Brooks definitely was in Maya Wilkes, and definitely what she wanted to bring to the character. Someone finally getting to a point where they realize what they have, even if it's not much, and even if it's not as far as they want to be, they recognize, damn, I done did great for myself. Let me do more. Let me go harder. Let me go smarter. Like, I love that energy. I love that energy. So, for the final segment of Miss Maya's read, this will be messages. So these will be divine messages to you through and from the character Maya. What are some messages? Maya to this crew. You are being shady. Watch out. Shit could get ugly. Okay, so this is what I think this means for y'all. You're being shady. So this goes back to what I was saying about people being bad influences on Maya, trying to keep her in a box and everything. So what it can do to a person is it can make them people pleasers, but then at the same time, for some people, it can make them people pleasers. In Maya's case, we see it make her act out more so. She ends up emotionally cheating on Darnell. She ends up blowing up on her mama. She ends up being passive aggressive to people that really do see it for her. And that's what this is giving. Some of you are not standing up to the people that you really need to stand up to. You're not speaking up for yourself when you really need to speak up for yourself. And it's causing you to mindlessly harm people who don't deserve that from you. And it's causing you to enable people who need to be checked. Not only enable them, but it could literally take so much of a conversation and you standing in your boundaries that could help other people, but you end up hurting them by how you go about it, by not addressing it up front and standing in what you said. You end up looking shady, you end up looking fake, you end up looking disloyal because you didn't say something straight up. You ended up acting out. And shit could get ugly. What they do? Oh, sis, they broke your heart. Fuck them. Exactly. Fuck them. And real quick and easy, what I'm getting from that is while your feelings are valid about transgressions and fuck ups that people have done by you and the way people have hurt you and this and that, feelings are valid. You have a right to say what you need to say, but say what you need to say, feel what you need to feel, and move on. Release them with forgiveness and with peace in your heart. Forgive yourself for whatever parts you played in hurting yourself and move on, because those were divine interventions. They were exposed to you for you to cut them off. Those relationships ended because they cannot go with you on your journey. They are not worthy of going with you on your journey, or they have other journeys to fulfill that have nothing to do with you, and your journey has nothing to do with them. And so you holding on to that and harboring on that is only going to hold you back and only get in the way of your ability and your victory of manifestation. Oh, get the fuck out of your head. Get in your heart. It misses you. Yes, get in your heart. It misses you. This kind of goes back to the single parent thing that I mentioned. So a lot of the times when one has a single parent, their parent ends up taking on both roles, and sometimes it can be in an imbalanced manner. So for Maya in particular, having come from a single mother household, her mother may function in a more masculine energy than the average mother, or just more than she should in general. And this has influenced Maya to develop some of those ways of not responding from her heart as much as she should, and also not tending to her own heart as much as she should. This could result in a person trying to go so hard to be for others what their parents weren't for them. So that's what it's giving. You need to redirect your energy from other people so much. Like, mind you how Maya is an assistant, and most of the time an assistant's role, and literally in Maya's role as Joan's assistant, her life is centered around pouring into Joan's well-being as it concerns Joan's career. So many of you have likely been being assistants with no pay for everybody else, when you could be putting that energy into your own shit. And when Maya finally got into her heart and figured out what it was that she really wanted out of life and what she really wanted to do with her life, she ended up being able to do more for herself than she was really able to do for anybody else. And everything else fell into place as a result. Her and Darnell got back together. They moved, all that shit. You know, things weren't perfect, but everything else just fell into place. And that's what I am definitely getting for y'all as well. Y'all need to redirect y'all's energy towards yourself and do a lot of reflecting and do a lot of giving compassion back to yourself, and also patting yourself on the back more for the things that you have been able to accomplish, child. And that's all I have. Okay, I hope it helped. I hope it resonated as much as it needed to. And I will see y'all in the next one. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I greatly appreciate you all. Okay? Light, love, and liberation. I hope you was enlightened and entertained. Moving on. Okay, child. Y'all chose Miss Toni Childs, Miss Antonia Child. And here we have our pink Valentine's Day Beanie Boo goat named Sweetums. Her name is Sweetums, okay? Now, Miss Antonia Child is straight out of Fresno, California. Okay? California. Shout out to Lovely T. And it is a more rural type of, a bit more country type of area, not so much city type of area, to my understanding, to the way that it's described on the show. By the research I've done, they've done a lot of modernization. Howsoever, apparently when Toni was growing up there, child, it was more country. It's a bit more rural, probably a bit more impoverished, okay? And Toni she perpetrates to be a year younger than Joan, but she is actually a year older. And Joan turns 29 in the first episode, so that means that Toni is already 30 in the first season. Okay? And Toni is a realtor and has a phobia of being poor. Okay? What else I want to include? Okay. And say the other stuff for the reading. So yeah, that's not all you need to know about Toni. What you don't know, I'm going to save some other things that are bound to come up in her reading. So let's get into it. Let's see how you all... Oh, well, first, let me talk more about why I chose this Beanie Boo for her. Number one, it is a goat, okay? And Toni is indeed a goat off a goat-ass show, okay? She is a goat. The issue is Toni kind of don't know that she's a goat. She act like she know. She act like she's hella confident and all this other stuff. But it's really arrogant to compensate for her many, many insecurities. And I chose, this also because it is pink, and I feel like it represents the girliness of Toni, and it represents the big heart that Toni really has up underneath all of that superficiality. And when she becomes a mom, we see a bit of that even more. We see some things that make us hate her even more. But we also see some things that bring out some redeeming qualities. Okay? She has a lot of redeeming qualities. So let's get into the read. Cause I just know some things are about to come up. I don't know exactly what's gonna come up. There's a lot I could say, and doing these is kind of also how I figure out what I want to talk specifically about or focus specifically on when it comes to other analysis I'm going to do and the actual reviews that I'm going to do. It helps me see some things that I can look on. So, how do you all synchronize and identify with Miss Toni Childs? Why are y'all drawn to her? How do you relate? Okay. Cosmic Flower. Now, this also correlates with the Beanie Boo. This is so pretty, isn't it? This is so pretty and vibrant and beautiful. And that is exactly what Toni gives. Toni is a very beautiful woman, and she dresses herself up to be and look very beautiful. And she has the personality to match, very vibrant, very cosmic, very colorful. And interesting about these colors because they low-key, high-key kind of resonate with her. She wears a lot of red and blue and orange and blue, and is a large reason why I did my makeup how I did it. Because in the very first episode, Toni has on blue eyeshadow, and Maya low-key, high-key shades and reads the shit out of her because she's a black girl wearing blue eyeshadow. So, in the spirit of Toni, I did the blue eyeshadow and gave some like reddish, orangish type of pops because that's what I saw her wear a lot, okay? And more orange when it came to Maya. But anywho, the frequency of the cosmic flower activates our remembrance of the place, child, of the place we call home. The core from which we pour our significance into the world. Now, child, this gets into why we can often only go so far with Toni, and why people in the world of the show can often go so far with Toni, because Toni will only go so far with Toni. Child, it is amazing. It's gonna stay down there too. It's gonna stay down there. But anywho, it is amazing how these ladies have a lot of commonalities with each other. But Toni has a lot of insecurities, a lot of resentment, a lot of wounds that come from her having been poor, come from her having been born and raised in Fresno, somewhere that's considered impoverished and lackluster, anything negative and opposite of, the superficial city life type of thing, especially as it concerns being in California. I notice a lot of people deal with hella unreasonable insecurities because, Los Angeles, California, it's the Hollywood areas where all the celebrities are, it's the club life, it's the rich life, all of that. And a lot of people go over there not realizing how expensive it is, and also how cutthroat it can be, how people smile in your face and stab you in the back, how people are constantly looking for something to ridicule and nitpick on you. And especially being that Toni is a dark-skinned woman, I'm sure that hits very differently with her growing up in such an environment. So Toni has a lot of wounds as it concerns where she's from, which result in her having a lot of wounds and a lot of insecurities within herself. So that's a way that y'all synchronize. Then more than likely you all have some inner child work to do in order to forgive yourself, forgive your parents, and start to heal and move on from those things so that your mindset can match your money and so that your heart set can match the love that you really want, that your higher self really wants. And that goes into this card, literally leads straight into this card right here. Healing. Healing. A need for deep ass healing. Now, something about Toni. Toni tends to make other people responsible for her emotions. She tends to make other people responsible for her healing. And when I say other people, I more so mean Joan. I mean Joan, and I also mean men. Men fill up a void for Toni, not just through money, but also through just her having something to do, having someone there to compliment her, show her attention, make her feel like the only girl in the world. And has Joan there is kind of a not really a designated ugly fat friend, because Joan isn't ugly at all, but Joan is very insecure, and Joan is more vulnerable and more transparent about her insecurities. So it makes Toni feel more comfortable because that's something that Toni views as weak. That's something that Toni views as gullible, if you will. So that's a quality about Joan that tends to make her feel good about herself, feel better about herself, on top of the fact that Joan literally self-sacrifices for Toni. And that could come from not feeling protected as a child. And we know that Toni deals with the poverty issues and the lack phobia, if you will. So the root chakra is representative of protection and money and all of that. And so with that being said, that's probably why Toni has a hard time feeling protected, because she probably didn't feel like her parents protected her financially enough. There are also some things that come up about Toni's dynamic with her siblings, and also Toni's mama being an alcoholic. And her mama is a rambunctious, angry alcoholic, whereas her father has more of a laid back, more passive type of personality. And in dynamics like that, it can result in people feeling like my daddy didn't protect me from my mama didn't protect me from herself, my parents were not able to protect me from the bullying from my siblings and things of that nature. Because if I'm not mistaken, Toni is the youngest child of her family also. And so with that being said, all of those things play a part in Toni wanting so bad to get back from other people what she was deprived of in her childhood. But in actuality, Toni, and as you all synchronize, there's a need for y'all to go within and find that healing within yourself. Have those ugly cries, write those journals, do whatever it is that you need to do to face those wounds, get it out to the people that need to hear it, or get it out to yourself and burn it or whatever, so that you can start being the sweetums that you really are, because you're not showing people the sweetums that you really are and that you need to be and that they need you to be. Actually, it can't be everybody else just doing for you. You have to reciprocate. And people need that from you. The people that you love and the people that love you need that heart chakra balance. They need that rose quartz type of energy from you. And you have it. You just have to go within to find it, and also to not shame yourself for it as well. And for those of you who have someone like Toni in your life, this is a message for you to set boundaries. And you may want to watch part 1 and look at Jones' group. You may also could stand to look at my angles as well, some of you. What I just say? Universal love, yes. As much as you all are resisting it, and child, I know it's tough because you probably come from a place where people have really made you resentful of being nice and being loving, being caring, and being sweet and all of that, because people be trash. People be shitty fucking people and want you to just take that shit with a smile. And I totally understand. I totally understand. From experience, howsoever you have a grander purpose. And a part of that purpose has to deal with you showing some fucked up people compassion. Not for them, for yourself. So that you don't become what you once despised. Because you're going to have to understand how those people became that way. And you will gather that understanding by reflecting and reevaluating how you became in some of the negative ways that you present to other people. Okay? Now, let me see something. Let's see if I can. Okay. Also, the number 44 is on here as well. That was coming up with the first card. It flashed to me too with the first card, the Cosmic Flower card. Something about that stood out to me concerning actual romantic love and being confirmed with this universal love card right here. Because when it comes to relationships, when it comes to divine unions, you're going to have to forgive that person and understand that person and learn that person over and over and over and over again. And it don't mean that you are letting them treat you like shit. It's just what happens when you are connected to someone for a long ass time, forever. So you've been put in situations to help you discern who deserves your unconditional love. And in order for you to gain that proper discernment, you have to first recognize and acknowledge that you deserve unconditional love from yourself. Regardless of what you look like, regardless of what's going on in your life, you deserve unconditional love from yourself. And when you start putting that love into yourself and really believing that you deserve unconditional love from yourself, you will start to better recognize people who deserve it from you. And that is how you will end up attracting in your divine soulmate, your twin flame, the person that you're supposed to be with. And the person is going to play a very large role in your life, as well as you are going to play a very large role in their life. And you don't want to end up like Toni, getting somebody that genuinely cares about you and genuinely wants to be there for you and take all your shit and, you know, make a life with you, and you end up hurting them and being spiteful because of, you know, your own insecurities and your own fears, and not being able to see them for who they are, because you have all of these ideas and all of these paranoias and all of these insecurities warping the view and getting in the way of the view altogether. Okay? Okay. We'll move on to the creator's intent. So the first card will be from Kelsey Grammer's intent, and then the second card will be from Jill Marie Jones' intent. That's the actress that plays Toni. Her name is Jill Marie Jones. So, like I said, the first card will be from Kelsey Grammer and Mara Brock Got Kill's intent of Toni. I'm sorry. This is the Gulf of Marcial. I hope I said that right. And this is Paul Cézanne. That's the number one on it. This is about new beginnings, and this is about finding appreciation in the simple things. And so yes, this is about being able to find the beauty and the joy and the appreciation in simple things, okay? And they wanted to show somewhat the opposite of Maya, whereas Maya is able to see the beauty in the dirt and grime on the walls of her apartment, right? But Toni is one who often finds what's wrong with every situation, and it holds her back. She self-sabotages a lot. And whereas Maya got a card that was more about setting sail and venturing out, Toni has more of a card that is like being stuck on shore. There are no boats, no people around really. Just alone and stuck. And Toni's a bit of a warning character, a bit of a cautionary tale type character of, yeah, you keep getting away with these small slights, and then the big slights the small slights turn into big slights, and the big slights turn into self-sabotaging all of your relationships and success, and ended up alone and stuck. And damn near swallowed by all of your insecurities. So it's definitely showcasing someone who has a very rough time dealing with life, dealing with their life, and needs all of these things and all of these people to fill voids and validate them. But in at the same time, they don't know how to treat what they have. So this is now Jill Marie Jones' intent. What Jill Marie Jones noticed and went to bring into the character and bring out of the character. Here we have Circus Sideshow. So, one major thing is coming up that Toni, child, for those of you that really resonate with her and identify with her, I'm gonna lie, this is giving tough love read as fuck. So, I say all of this with love and enlightenment. Okay? This giving someone who thinks they are the conductor, the ringmaster of the show, of the circus, if you will, and in actuality, they are a jester, a clown, joker. But that's how they look in the way that they carry on. They don't have to be that, but the way that they carry on and the way that they really feel about themselves causes them to present themselves in such a way. And that applies to Toni because she speaks of herself in such high esteem and being so classy and this and that. Then she does really cheap, really tawdry type things like fucking on her best friend's ex-boyfriend, bringing him to her house, to her birthday celebration, always taking things from her friends, constantly shading the fuck out of her friends, constantly putting her friends in situations where they have to save her from ass whoopings, where they have to clean up her messes, just being a liability and a bitch. And people really want to love them. People really want to be there for them because they see the good in them. But the issue is that the person does not see the good in themselves. And so most of what they want to, or most of what they put out is negative things. And what that can also come from is when people are demonized or a lot, or people are ridiculed and criticized a lot, they will end up taking on the traits that, you know, that people say about them. So like, you tell a person they ugly, you tell a person they ain't shit, you tell a person that they poor, they ain't never gonna be shit over and over again. Eventually they start being shiesty, they start doing demon-like things, they start acting ugly. Even if they aren't ugly, they start acting ugly because, you know, no one else has ever seen or pointed out the good in them. So they just continue to show those negative traits. And sometimes that can be a person mindlessly isolating themselves out of this antisocial tendency, out of antisocial tendency that can come from heartbreak, that can come from embarrassment, that can come from people constantly nitpicking at you. And I feel like that is perfect timing for me to get into the messages. Let's get into the messages. Let's get into the messages. Be fucking grateful. Shit could be so much worse. That's literally what I just said. Be fucking grateful. Y'all are having some hard times finding the good and finding the beauty in where you come from and where you are, and therefore it's having a hard time with you seeing the greatness of where you are and the greatness of where you could be, getting in the way of you doing work to be better, because it's like you don't feel the urgency to, because everything looks so ugly around you. But that's literally a mindset. If you could literally start giving more attention and speaking on the things that make you happy and things that are going good in your life, you will see things change inside and out of you as fuck. Drop the fucking ego. Vulnerability is hot as fuck. I ain't gotta say much more on that. But what I will say is, when you feel a need to defend yourself, or if you always are on the defense, ask yourself, am I defending myself from actual danger? Am I defending myself from an actual real threat? Or am I just defending my ego? And if you're defending your ego, you're making a fool out of yourself. And that's why vulnerability is hot as fuck. Stop texting, stop stalking, stop checking on that person. Just fucking stop. Spend your time on someone worth it. Don't waste it on ridiculousness. And that goes back to what I was saying about constantly being on the defense to a point where you end up hurting people that don't deserve it, and constantly being in this state of wanting to get, and receive everything that you felt so deprived of, that you are draining people and you are hurting people and abusing people without even trying to, without genuinely have a heart that wants to abuse, but you're doing it because you're functioning out of ego, and you are just so, it's just feeling of desperation to feel loved. And the answer to that is start loving yourself. Start speaking nicer to yourself. You may need to really take some alone time, and that's what this. Stop texting that person. Stop stalking. Stop doing it, because you are not only hurting them, you're hurting yourself, and you're hurting the connection. At this point, you need to redirect that energy towards yourself. What you need, other people cannot give you. You need to refer back to self and refer back to your divine realm, and really get those childhood wounds in peace. You need to grab up those pieces of your inner child and bring them to a state of peace. For real, for real. And y'all, I hope that helped. And as it concerns Toni Childs in particular, I'm going to be doing other character analysis on these same characters again, as it concerns specific episodes, specific seasons. I'm going to be doing the episodic reviews. Also, I'm going to be doing commentaries on specific things that I noticed throughout the episodes and throughout the show. So, a lot was not said about Toni in this video. I'm sorry. But a lot was not said about Toni in this video intentionally, because there is a whole lot that can be said about Toni. There's a whole lot that can be said about all of these girls. So I hope that it resonated. I hope that it wasn't too tough love. I hope that you would like, comment, and subscribe, and know that I am highly appreciative of all of you coming through, okay? And that's all I got for this one. Ain't got no more, okay? Got a little broad action there, but that's that's about it. So, light, love, and liberation to you all. I hope you've been enlightened and entertained. And I will see y'all in the next ones. Peace.